For this next song, I would like everybody to clone the Sandwich Man's avatar. It's gonna be fit. Very fit. Oh, sorry. All right, you filthy animals. Are you ready to get down and dirty with the rest of us? You are furries, right? This next song, March of the Pigs. Step right up, march, push, down, down, down your knees, please, great, fade. I want a little bit, I want a piece of it, I think he's losing it, I wanna watch you go down, don't like the look of it, don't like the taste of it, don't like the smell of it, I wanna watch you go down. Yeah. Love the look of this. All the pigs are all lined up. I give you all that you want. Take the skin and peel it back. But doesn't it make you feel better? We're in the sty tonight. Where are you at? All the pigs are all lined up. I give you all that you want. Take the skin and peel it back. But doesn't it make you feel better? The pigs have won tonight, and they can all sleep soundly, and everything is alright. Alright. Alright, now we can return. Now we can return. Yeah, fuck yeah! Look at you guys! This is awesome! This is incredible. I appreciate this. This is... Fuck yeah, you guys are great.
Hello, welcome to Metaverse Degen.
Oh shit, I wasn't ready.
I'm all Raptor, and our guest is not ready, but we're going to find out if he is, folks. And that is...
My name is Birdsatan. I'm a metal musician, guitarist, and a great dancer.
Oh, so
Oh.
How did you get into VR chat, and what got you into playing metal music?
Funny story. I'll answer the first one first. Funny thing that got me into VR. Actually, it was early 2019, and I was working at Pizza Hut, and I was tired of being poor, and I wanted to make money really quickly, and so I got into making 3D porn,
Oh,
looping animated GIFs, trying to get popular with that so I can monetize it and get money. So I quit being poor. I can quit my job, because porn money is pretty damn lucrative. So I've heard. I wasn't able to go through with it. I made like 3 things and then killed it. It wasn't under my name, so I was able to just like drop it and it not really affect me. But I was at the time I was looking for a better solution to animating, because animating was that I was doing this in Blender too, and so there was that steep learning curve in order to learn Blender, in order to get hips moving in a circular fashion, but also have like a little bit of a nice look. So I was looking at like mocap solutions and finding that everything is like thousands upon thousands of dollars. This was before like Vive stuff, Vive trackers and Tundra trackers and Slime trackers. All that shit's like super cheap now. I won't get back into it because I have better things to do with my time than to make porn, of all things. But looking into that, and I guess that just put me into the algorithm of seeing VR related content. I watched a few videos here and there. I'm like, that's really super sick. Being able to animate, models and such, and just like be goofy, play a character, like stick in a specific role. And that was awesome. But I didn't have the money, and so I did some things, moved some things around, moved away from the place I was living at. That was super expensive. Started to get some money. First, like really big check that I got from the work that I do now. I put a Quest 1 on layaway, and got that, and I've been in that ever since late 2019.
oh wow. So
And so far, it's been downhill from there.
oh really? Started in VR chat, then became a degenerate, became a furry. All the other stories.
Oh, was it degenerate, but before then got into VR chat. Didn't really become a degen so much. Cause like there have been scenarios of like me being in like degen dens, right? And absolutely just hating everybody there because it was like hedonism. Me and the hedonists clashed because I'm what you would call a eudaimonist. Eudaimonism. Eudaimonic. Instead of hedonic, there's eudaimonic. It's pretty much the opposite. If hedonism is maximum pleasure, minimum pain, or like how do I describe this? Not
A lack of pleasure.
not wanting to work for the pleasure. Not wanting to work for the pleasure to it. Like those are the ones that they get like addicted to, like opium dens, or just like jack off like 5 times a day. And all pleasure should be a given. Why not live in the euphoria of the pleasure, right? Not seeking out anything that is painful, or no reward, no action reward type of deal. It's just all reward all the time. Just push that button constantly. That's hedonism. Eudaimonism is the satisfaction from the delayed gratification. So I'm kind of somebody who likes to do things the hard way, notoriously. It's bitten me in the ass a couple times. However, you know, as life goes on, you know, I feel like I've been more rewarded for my efforts than not. And like spending as much time as I do focusing on tiny little details of an audio track, or you know, writing complicated asymmetrical guitar licks. You know, having to, you know, for the sake of not trying to go for the easiest thing on guitar. It's like, yeah, I can do power chords. I can open string, first fret, third fret, open string first. I can do that, but it's not rewarding in the case of it doesn't sound difficult. It doesn't paint a complex emotional picture to me, and so, you know, forcing myself to take on these lofty tasks is kind of where I get a little bit of a head rush. And that's kind of where if that's the case, then yeah, I'm a DJ, whatever. Verdict is still out on the furry thing, though.
Who is still
Never
living the
really
furry
been
thing?
a part of the furry community.
No?
Never really been a part of the furry community because I've kind of been adjacent. You know, I've been that party of off to the side, not focused on it, but also like on the side, just cringing at the whole ordeal.
Okay.
However, there were things that went on this year that I've actually fortunately been a part of, and if I was still like closed-minded, like, oh yeah, furry community, that's all diapers and cub porn and whatever else, unwashed, acne-ridden, basement-dwelling, 35, all that stuff. You know, I could say all that, but then I go to FWA back in May, you know, Furry Weekend Atlanta, on a whim because you know, my buddy Alex Groy in here, shout out to him. He invites me to his house, you know, because he has a studio, and I'm coming off the heels of a new album, and he has a studio. I want to go see the damn studio and, you know, get reference and such. Really, he's like, well, we also have this thing going. We also have going to FWA. I'm like, what the hell is that? It's a furry convention. I'm like, how much are the tickets? You know, how much are the tickets? And he's like, 100. I'm like, for how long is it? 3 days? I'm like, I don't know, man. He's like, oh yeah, you know, like you know, this person's gonna be there. People I know on here. This guy's gonna be here. That kind of guy's gonna be there. We're gonna be hanging out with them. You know, like whispers and such, and we'll be hanging out with them. CK9C, all that stuff, because they have shows there, and you know, pretty much all of us are buddies, and so we were hanging out with each other, you know, on and off the stage. I wasn't on the stage, hanging out with them, but I had a good time. Surprisingly enough, it was a major culture shock the first time walking into the marquee, the Marriott marquee. First time walking in, it was just a big fucking culture shock. Because previously, let me outline something here. I feel like I've narrowed down what cringe is.
Oh,
like an actual definition of what cringe is.
what is cringe?
Cringe. Yeah, cringe is passion out of context. Somebody who is really passionate about something in a scenario or context that does not apply
Hmm.
to what they're passionate about. Right? For example, I was really passionate about Yu-Gi-Oh cards,
Hmm.
but it's, I don't know, your second cousin's funeral, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's people wearing fursuits at out in public when there's nothing else going on. It's not a gathering, right?
Hmm.
There's no specific like or preordained gathering of the furries, at the park, and it's just the one dude, fucking around. Oh, there's people looking around like, look at this guy. Doesn't he know it's like 99 degrees outside Fahrenheit? Yeah.
Hmm.
So that. Um. That would be. I would say that would be a definition of cringe. At FWA, I walked through the doors. I was not able to cringe because as soon as I saw the big, bunch of fucking people, there was like 15,000 people in attendance. And that was just during registration. Massive fucking line. It was during that time I walked through the doors. I'm like, this makes sense. All the fursuits that I've seen, all the fursuit videos I've seen of just people being, ooby cubey, all that shit. All of the furries on here, all the avatars, make sense within that context of it being a furry convention, and so that's where I was like, okay, I'm pretty cool with it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's starting to make sense. Even if you were to strip the furry away from the furry convention, I saw it as like $100 for 3 days of a music and arts festival.
Hmm.
That was sick. Super happy about it. Inspiring, actually.
Oh wow. So I have actually a lot of questions for you. Actually, starting off,
Mm-hmm.
did you work on doing music and metal prior to VRChat, or did you start doing it after you got into the platform?
Well before. The music project that's been my main go-to. I've just been pumping stuff into it. Is called limitedsightdistance, like the road sign. It was a name given to me by. It was a name given to me by my aunt. She was teaching me how to drive, and when I was 20, she was teaching me how to drive, and I took to driving pretty quickly because I kind of learn quickly. I'm kind of savant like that, kind of autistic like that. So she didn't have to be like on me with every single turn, and so she was able to just sit in the passenger seat, and we just plugged hours, getting those hours in, for with the learners for the driver's test. And so she would just tell me stories about her being, like a punk rock queen in the late 80s, early 90s in Washington, D.C., and that punk scene. Told me all these crazy fucking stories that I wish I could remember. She'd throw massive parties and such. She'd describe to me everything. Like initiation, right? They're all just like scum dogs, right? They're all like lost puppies trying to find their place in the world, and it's ragtag, it's motley, it's awesome. And she saw that kind of that punk rock spirit in me. And so, as a rite of initiation, in that group, everyone would scrounge up their money to buy the new guy a pair of Doc Martens. And so, for my 21st birthday, she bought me my first pair of Doc Martens as like an initiation. It was like a passing of the torch. I'm like, I respect these things. Still have them. One of the things that she told me about was, I'm off the record. I had an interview recently, earlier this year, and we weren't talking about music. We were talking about nuclear. The interviewee, his shows, his recording time typically goes from like 45 minutes to an hour 30 or whatever. He and I, we talked for about 3.5 hours. So be prepared for that.
Oh no, how terrible. An entire channel dedicated to talking with people. How terrible.
How's that work? You want me to go get a soda and bring back some cookies?
Yeah, it's going to be a long one.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We very much enjoy learning
I got
things.
a question. Yeah, we learn a lot. We love a lot. I got a question for him, Line. Since when you first came into VR, knowing your style and just by listening to, what's the weirdest thing you ever saw in VR? And you have to have a doozy. There's got to be
the weirdest thing I've seen in VR?
Yeah, the weirdest fucking thing you ever saw in VR.
I'll answer that question in a second. She wanted to make a punk rock. If she were to ever have like a musical bone in her body, she never did. But if she were to ever have a band, it would be called Limited Sight Distance, and all of their merch would have LSD on it. And so I'm like, that's pretty sick.
That's cool.
She liked it from the punk rock aspect. Yeah, she liked it from the punk rock aspect. Like, it's a road sign, right? It's ubiquitous. But I took it in the poetic, as much of a hipster as I fucking can be. I took it in the poetic aspect of like the future is we have a limited sight distance on the future, and making plans and such. We can only prepare for things, but it's based in paranoia and anxiety and such. And I've always been like a high-strung type of person, and such. Craziest thing I've ever seen in VR. Back when there were a bunch of Nanachis around.
Oh God, here we go with these guys. We hear a lot of them.
Exactly. Yeah. Back when there were a bunch of Nanachis, it was 60 people instances. This was before avatar culling. This was before proper optimization. I couldn't spend like any more than 10 minutes in these worlds that had like all these Nanachis, and all of them had some kind of pornographic aspect to them. It must have been a 50-pile orgy.
Oh.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Like, that was sick. It was sick. I didn't partake in it because I'm not that kind of person. However, a lot of the people who were in that pile went on to actually be prominent avatar makers.
Oh.
Oh, no names. But a lot of those guys who were in those piles either quit the game because they got too much heat on them for being predators, or they went on to to be able to pay their bills off of making avatars that still have a little bit of Nachi in them.
Interesting.
You kinda honestly, those Nachis laid the groundwork for a lot of what is made today. it's almost like a little bit of psychology. Like all the non-Achis that went off to do that, they split off and became like 4 different other species. Rex, Tatum, Hobkins,
Hmm.
and the Volleys.
Interesting.
And otters somewhere, but we don't talk about the fucking otters. Ugh. Ugh. But that's probably the craziest thing. Or maybe actual mosh pits. Actual legitimate mosh pits. Recently,
Mosh pit.
Ecosphere.
Hmm.
I did Ecosphere. Okay, that was kind of nuts. That was just off the fucking walls, right? 50-person orgy. That was nuts. What actually blew my mind was okay, so I did Virality. Right? Virality. That was cool. It was nice. There was a lot of people in the audience, and I'm very fortunate about that. I still have people come up to me today and say, "Hey man, I caught you at Virality. I thought that was actually sick. Breath of fresh air, bringing actual metal, into the scene and the way that it's done." I'm like, I appreciate that, man. I really do. Virality was great. I loved the scenery, all that stuff. My avatar, I made this, but all dusty and shit. For Ecosphere, because I had like a week's worth of turnaround time, I wasn't able to prepare anything special for Ecosphere. And so all I did, I just like, God, there was no time for me to do anything, and nothing special at all. No change of visuals on the backdrop, or no real change of the lineup. Probably a bend song and put in a song. That's what I did. I followed the world in its development as they were building it, and so I'm like, this place is fucking dirty. Plus, also, it's like a desert planet. Original. Because Virality was already doing that, and I was thinking, I got my own little headcanon. I'm like, okay, so Virality happens on Umbra, and then like you go to like the other side of Umbra, and that's where Ecosphere is. Maybe same place. No running water, no way to take a shower, and so all I did was just make this dude much dirtier. And all that stuff, and the stage going from Virality to Ecosphere, right? Virality was so stuffy. Right? It was very uptight the entire way through. Not many people were in my performer instance, because we were all separated for lag and optimization and better camera angles and such. It was pretty up there. With Ecosphere, I wanted the complete opposite of that. There was a stage in Ecosphere. I didn't perform on the stage. I performed right in the pit, right in the dirt.
Oh wow. Which
Which matched my avatar a lot. And I wanted to look like Trent Reznor in Lollapalooza in the 90s. He's just covered, everyone's just covered in mud and dirt and shit. Right? Breaking shit on stage. Phenomenal. I wanted something like that. And so my girlfriend was like, well, if you're going to be doing that, why not do March of the Pigs? Do a vocal cover of March of the Pigs. I'm like, that's fucking genius. Right? I get there, I get on it. I told my buddy about this beforehand, and I was like, do you have a little pig avatar, right? He's like, yes, I do. I'm like, can you make it clonable and have everyone clone it and do a circle pit of pigs? He's like, hell yeah, I can. That sounds like fun. And so I get to March of the Pigs. I'm like, clone his avatar. And so I'm down there. I'm doing fairly a good job vocally, but that wasn't the main appeal. The main appeal was the circle pit of pigs. That was sick. That's the highlight of the year.
Wow.
I don't blame
Everyone's
you.
talked about it.
Do you have a video
Oh,
of the circle pit
shit.
of pigs?
I need to process it, but yes, I do.
Is there any way we can get a copy of it to intro your video? This podcast?
Yeah, I can do that.
Easy. I'll have
Yeah, I
that
can
be
do
the intro so that when we reach a
Great.
point, they can see what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
it was sick.
how did you get involved with the music scene in VRChat if you've been doing it prior? And what about your grandmother's passing of the torch to you made you want to continue to learn music?
My aunt, but
Your aunt, sorry.
yeah, but no, I've always been kind of musically inclined. I started playing music when I was 12. My dad got me a starter kit bass guitar. It was one of those $200 cheapo depot. Here you go. You know, with the bass and the pickup and the this little pot size like 110 speaker. Maybe it may have been 1.8. I don't know. A starter kit that you get a kid that you don't know if he's actually going to be into it, and so you're like, here's the cheapest thing, but you still can learn on it. I'm like, yeah, I played the shit out of that thing. Like all my siblings, wanted to get into music somehow, some way. He would buy an instrument. My brother sold his guitar for a gun. Oldest sister got acoustic guitar, mantelpiece. Youngest sister, Fender Squire, mantelpiece. Me, I still have it. It's over there, but I've upgraded since then. I have upgraded stuff. I've made it better. I've made it to where it's like, yeah, he got his money's worth. But more on that later. The first thing that you said was, how did I get to playing music in here? One day, I'm hanging out with my buddies. I'm trying to figure out how I would be able to play or trying to merge the two things of being able to like play guitar in here to where it looks cool and such. I've known about like open mic night. Right? I've gone to open mic night. I would sit in the audience and this is gonna sound mean. I would laugh a lot because some people can't sing. Let's be real. Some people can't sing, but this is a good place for people to like just try it out. And you can tell the people who are actually trying and actually legitimately putting some effort in versus the people who are like not trying at all. I know it sounds divisive, yeah, but you go to a furry karaoke, not everybody in there can be pop stars. A lot of them are just having fun, and the people who recognize that they are just having fun are the ones who have the most fun. Rather than the ones that try and blow themselves up and say, "Oh yeah, I could be the next Beyonce." Godspeed. But I was trying to figure out how to blend the two things because I'd burnt like 5,000 hours doing nothing, pretty much. And so it was one fateful day that I was hanging out with my buddies, a great pug. And this dude joins. Right? He's talking about setting things up and getting performers in line for this thing called Vrchat. And I hear that and I'm like, what the fuck is that? One, can you like how original is that, right? Call it Vrchat. It's Coachella, but for furries, yeah? How original. And so I look over and this guy named Corbelle, right? And so I'm asking him. I'm like, all right, I'll bite. What's Vrchat? He's like, it's this event that I'm putting on. It's 3 days. a bunch of performers, a bunch of DJs. And I asked him, it's not like open mic night or midnight munchies or anything. He's like, no, this is way more planned, way more professional, and way more dedicated. You should join. I'm like, well, I'm kind of something of a performer. Let me do things. And he's like, well, I have this open mic night that you can practice at. I'm trying to get out of that because it sucks. Because what I do is not very well received at open mic nights, right? You go from sad boy piano, right, to mumbled lyrics into the microphone to another thing, and then me going in there going yeah! Shit like that.
Yeah.
It's not very well received because it's such a tonal difference. I'm like, damn. I'm over here screaming my lungs out, giving you like complex prog riffs, and all you're giving me is Mona Lisa grins and golf claps. Fuck you. I work for this shit. It's not easy. Anyway, so I realize that what I do is not made for the smaller stages like that, and so I go through Corbelle. I do some things. I tell him that I'm available for whatever he has coming up. He's like, I don't have any slots open for Cella, but there's this thing called Furry Hideouts New Year's countdown event. You'll be on there for this. You'll have an hour set. I'm like, an hour set. I have the material because I was coming off of this album called Clarity. Because Clarity was already done. It was already out, and I was well practiced with that. And I had a few new songs that actually had vocals on it, and so I'm like, cool. And so I should be able to do that. I do that. I'm not in this avatar. I'm in a Rindo that I specifically made with. Oh, let me turn. Go over to that real quick and fold my legs preemptively.
Oh wow, that's a dope looking avatar. I'm gonna fly it over to.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Hell yeah. I'm actually really proud of this. But I've had to change it for multiple different reasons. Go to different avatars. Go back to the bird because one, the bird fits the name better. Two, hanging around a bunch of furries, and me seemingly being the only anime on the stage. Up until like recently, he's been getting more people on, more skinnies on the on the docket recently. He's been getting more flesh bags on the stage, like Jinbei Dragon and Carson something or another. That was the only human. And even though he says like, oh, it doesn't matter like what avatar you're in or what group you're repping, there's still a little bit of like this, odd man out if you're just the only, anime thing. Plus also, had to change because I think I got the "Why are you a girl?" comment one too many times. Especially the people that are like they're not familiar with VRChat. They're not familiar with like mirror culture. Right, because I don't have gender dysphoria. I am not trans. It's kind of hard to explain to somebody who is not in VRChat the concept of seeing yourself in a mirror and liking what you see in the mirror, but because it's in the mirror, it's not connected to me. I don't feel like I'm this, but when I look in the mirror, that's really cute, and I'm able to animate it and make it all good and shit. where that's not really connected to me, you know. And so it's kind of hard to describe that to somebody who is not in this realm. And so that's where the bird came in. But this avatar was the first version of the hand constraint system that I made, where I can lock my fingers in a specific pose and it stay that way. And so I can throw the controller onto my wrist. Same thing for the other hand. Make a pick. Tape. Hit. Cut it. Whatever. That was a system me and my friend Nostalgia came up with. Because I went to Vrchat and I saw people who like had their controllers off to the side, you know, like that while they were playing. And I'm like, come on, man, you could do better than that. You could do, you can have it so much like Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
We have the capability. It's just we got to figure out how to do it. And so far, I've been able to figure out how to do it. I've been doing it, you know, pretty well. You know, just based on the type of comments that I get. They're like, "Is he actually playing guitar?" I'm like, "Yeah, you know, I'm not just miming it." Some people do mime it because of limitations or inability to, you know, lock their controllers to the back of their hands. I have the index, and that's what makes that easy. But there are other solutions for that. It's just you gotta figure it out. You gotta want that type of look of performance. I think that goes back to the wanting to be a body actor. Not for porn, but for this, right? Same fundamental of like giving a shit about clipping into things. Like how I'm sitting right now feels very natural, and I'm kind of known to be, you know, in the world that I'm in, and so I think that's assisted me in my journey throughout the epochs. I'm gonna switch back to the bird.
Okay, and I'll switch us back to the side view. So, what about that first instance, that furry hideout that Corbelle brought you to, made you want to continue performing here in VR?
The want to refine. Because I look back on that performance now, and there were so many things that were out of place, or that didn't fit. You know, I was out of time there. I needed to stop and tune the guitar here. You know, just the want for the next one to be better. And plus also, the stage is kind of addicting. Okay. I don't know if you've noticed by now, but I kind of have like ADHD. And I'm constantly at like a net negative when it comes to, like, you know, feel good or like dopamine and such. I know for a fact. What kind of audience do you have?
The audience we have are generally very
demographic.
Generally American and male.
American, male, age range?
25 to 30, surprisingly. Also, we have a little bit of like 2% Japan and about 5 to 12% Europe.
Well, itadakimasu. Welcome in. And to manger croissant. To mange a croissant. Okay, so knowing that, right, I just need to know, because if you have like anybody like younger than 18, I wouldn't want to, unless it's a cautionary tale, and it is a cautionary tale.
Well, don't worry, we set our videos specifically to 18 or older. Like, not like permanently adult status,
don't
but it's
give
not
a
like
fuck.
locked away, age locked, but it is. We have the button click,
Mm.
so it goes to adults. Well, their kids still find it, but that's beyond me.
Pussy, 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 pussy. Okay. The reason why I asked that is
My God.
have fun editing that out. The reason
Wait,
I
we
say
don't
that,
edit. He don't edit. That's the funny part.
We leave things as they are.
awesome, candid.
Yeah,
Sick.
we just leave it the way it's slapped. We slap it just the way you throw it.
Mhm.
And if we get bored with it, we just play in it anyhow. It's just another puddle in the fucking road.
And you just throw it up on the wall, check it out for a while.
And watch
Take
it
that
run
shit up
down and
off the
going,
wall, put
God,
it down on the floor in a glass bowl.
you got it. And get out a spoon and pass it to your brother next to you and go, drink this. Pretty good shit.
Gross. I'd hate to be your roommate.
Welcome to your worst nightmare.
And we know what's scared.
This Halloween
Isn't
just
noise. It's your
Darkest fear.
kill if you dare.
Something, something, Limp
I'm
Bizkit
an
joke.
ass.
Kiss my starfish. My chocolate stuff. Okay, the reason why I say that, God damn it, is when I was younger, I used to work in construction, in stage construction, in the staging industry. Has it been 7 years? It's been 7 years. So I cannot be held legally. This is false, right? This is a fake story. I was sharing a hotel room with somebody who was selling cocaine out of that hotel room, and a buddy of mine bought me 3 lines because I'd never done it before. And so I was like, okay. And this was a vacation. I was down in Florida. You know, it's a bunch of like big stages and running lights and audio and such, and so it attracts a specific type of person. My buddy buys me 3 lines. I have my acoustic guitar with me because I always travel with it. Buys me 3 lines. I bang them back to back. Dude tells me it's 90%, and I kind of believe him because we're that close to the keys. I'm like, this is 90%, so I bang out 3 lines and sit back, start playing guitar. And I start to feel the effects. I'm like, okay, this is nice. Continue playing guitar. You know, it's nice. Everyone else who was in the room did, you know, about as much as I did. They were just bouncing off the fucking walls, talking a mile a minute. And you know, I'm still there, just playing guitar, chilled out, like in my own little world, feeling okay, feeling great even. And someone was like, you know, who the hell is this guy? I'm like, I live here, and this is my room. And he's like, did you do anything? Did you do any what's up? I'm like, yeah, I did 3 lines. And he's like, 3 lines, and you're just sitting there like that, playing guitar, chilled out? And I'm like, yeah, man, fucking leave me alone. Later, I recant this tale to a coworker, much later, different industry, and he's like, yeah, you have ADHD. That's what normal people feel all the time. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You motherfuckers don't know how easy you have it. I was just like, everything just went nice and quiet and still, right? I was like, this cocaine ain't shit. It it tastes like aspirin. You get that runs down the back of the throat. The worst part about it was that feeling only lasted for about 15-30 minutes, and then I just couldn't sleep.
Oh.
Worst ever. Like trying to not wired and tired at the same time. It's terrible. And so, it's quite frankly, it's cool, but it's a waste of fucking money. It is way too expensive for what it's worth. So, yeah. And that's how I figured out that, and it made sense. So when it comes to writing music, I kind of follow the same type of formula of like, just that's probably why I write progressive, music to begin with, because it's asymmetrical, it's interesting, it keeps me on my toes as I'm going from like one section to the next. Because it's to me, it's the most boring thing to just go 4 on the floor AC/DC riffs, dun 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 dun. Oh baby, baby, won't you come up and light my fire? Some shit like that. Shit that my mom would want me to write.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can't bring myself to write basic butt rock. And if you want basic butt rock, we already have that. We have When Snake Sings. Listen to him. That was supposed to be a joke. If you guys know who When Snake Sings is.
I'm not sure I do, to be honest. If I do, my brain just got rid of it all.
So he's a musician. He's out of Australia. He's been the furry rock dude
Oh.
since 2021.
Oh, wow.
Or he's been advertising himself as that. He's been writing music prior to that, but starting When Snake Sings. First thing that he posted was in 20. Damn it.
Gotta go check it out to be sure.
Man, yeah, I'm checking it out. Talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I've to be honest, I've only just recently started getting into furry musicians and musicians in general. So I live under a rock in terms of like what goes on here in the music scene, and it's only with talking to people like you have been learning about it. I'm not much of a person to go to those things. I'm more of a keep my head down at work kind of person, or hang out with friends in public lobbies kind of person. So in terms of like seeing all this stuff, I'm still kind of seeing all this with fresh eyes. That's why when you ask, do I know this person, is I don't. I live my head under the rock, kind of thing.
That must make me the rock then. It just sits there and floats around in the ocean bottom.
Pretty small damn rock, I'll tell you what.
No shit. Nobody pays attention to it anyhow. Skip this bitch. Let's see how many skips we get at it. Yeah.
I wonder if we strap you to a rock and try and skip you. How many skips we would get out of you?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Just make sure you get the 20 on the shore.
Nice. 2021 was his first album, and then continued to make music up until now. He has like 18,000 monthly listeners.
Oh wow!
So he's like the go-to when it comes to furry rock. He's played at the last like 3 Furalities.
Oh wow!
He's a rising star. He's good. He's good and all that. He writes. He kind of wears his influences on his sleeve. That's Breaking Benjamin, Linkin Park, bit Pantera, those types of bands. Whereas I'm trying to wear my influences on my sleeves, like Tool, Mastodon, Gojira, Devin Townsend. A bit of those bands. Try to be a little bit artsier with it, but it goes back to the boredom aspect.
Okay. So,
How quickly it can just go straight to being, mind-numbing to follow that formula. The basic structure, like intro, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro. It's tiring, and
Okay.
4 beats per measure.
so I have a
Four beats per bar. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for you based on that topic. Of the music you've written, what are some of the things you're most proud of, and how much of the songwriting and music creation is you?
I'm really proud of how this last album, Terminal, turned out. Recently released within the last month. It's called Terminal. It's 7 tracks. It's kind of like a rock opera of sorts. It goes from one section. All the songs flow really nicely from one section to the next because the way I wrote it was all together in one playlist, which I don't recommend because my DAW digital audio workstation will constantly lag anytime that I do anything because I have so many things just going off all at the same time. I'm mostly proud of what I did with Terminal, the way it flowed, the little interim sections. But there's a song specifically that was a really big challenge. There's a song called Crossroads. How I put together Terminal was I had 5 songs that were all made in separate projects. They were all timed. All the audio clips were set up in time, and so all I had to do was drag all the stems from one project into this master project. But there were some gaps in the story, and so No Quarter was a late edition, and Crossroads was a late edition. No Quarter was easy because its BPM was 120, and that was the set. That was the BPM for the project. For Crossroads, it was about 145, and so I couldn't play to the grid. I couldn't play to the click. Couldn't place anything. I couldn't lock things to the grid, and so it was much harder than any other song that was on there in order to get right. Because it had to be dynamic, and also I was recording acoustic guitar, which I'd only done once before, and that was much of a challenge. It's about 4 minutes long, and it was painful because normally when I write, I start with guitar or bass, and then work down from there, and then work back up to vocals. If that makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
I go from guitar, bass, and then drums, and then go up to synth, accoutrement, and vocals to that, and then polish, and that would be a song. For Crossroads, it was roughly the same way, but because I couldn't do it to a grid, I had to solely rely on my timing playing the acoustic guitar. And then everything else on top of that had to just lay into it on my timing and make the drums sound as natural as possible because I was tapping them in on a MIDI keyboard. to get that to sound like what it is, I felt like I had to, like, I had to grow some hair, on my nuts in order to make that happen. It felt like I was actually working with tape because I couldn't rely on the grid. I couldn't rely on the click track. It sounded great. It sounded really awesome. I got my buddy Cookie, who is also a performer on here. She is a punk folk
That's interesting.
musician. Yeah, it's interesting, but there's a lot of folk punk type of bands out there. But she's in it. Her primary like singing point or writing point is about trans rights because she herself is trans. I really can't relate to any of the songs, but I relate to the punk spirit that she has, and so she has a 12-string guitar, and it sounds incredible. And so I asked her if she could, record some. She could put some ass behind that track, and she did. That's what sends that last part in that track, and it sounds beautiful. So I can only say, like, I can only speak good about that track because it sounds so good, and people say that that's their favorite track on that album, even though it doesn't have lyrics. It just has this, this punch, like victorious type of overwhelmingly positive type of feel to it.
Okay.
And that's what I'm proud of. There was something else in that.
Okay.
There was a second part to that question. What was it?
I don't. Oh, I don't remember actually. I was so enthralled in your story, I blew past my mind.
What a part of that music do I do?
Oh yeah, how much of the music is what you create like yourself, and how much is like external or other means? There we go.
Okay. All of the music is done by me.
Okay.
Started on bass, went to acoustic guitar, then to electric guitar, and then reacquired a bass, and then just kept going back and forth between bass and guitar. But all the while having to, make drum lines and synths and just compose. Right? At some point, there comes a point where if you're writing your own music, you're not just the guitarist. You're not just the bassist. You're not just the drummer. You have to be the composer. Because they're just instruments. They're just tools to get to the means to the end. Like, dedicated to one. You can be biased, and sometimes it can be obvious that you have a guitar bias or a drum or a vocal bias because typically that's the loudest thing in the mix. That's
Good
something that's something that you can point out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like me. I have a bass bias. That's just natural. So my bass guitar is always, very prominent, very up there in the mix, very very clicky. A lot of high end on my bass. So So yeah, at some point in time, you just have to call yourself a composer and call it good.
Okay.
Because you really can't dedicate yourself to one specific instrument if you're doing all of it by yourself. That's impressive and all, and that's cool and all, and I would love to have all the credit be mine. However, with Terminal, I can't do that. Because this time I actually brought the walls down, brought the walls of Jericho down a little bit, and let some people in on the process. Had some session work done by Cookie, and I just described you. But my friend Hollifer, who's never sang before, she was demoing a good idea for a counter melody for a section in Leviathan. I'm like, that sounds perfect, because she has a clean female vocal. Layer that, you have a choir, right? And so like, she was able to get a perfect octave away from my voice, and that part just golden. Now I can't hear it without her voice now.
Oh, really?
Additional vocals that I had was Alex Groy, my buddy, and Solinus Major, who also is a VR singer. Think furry Sam Smith.
Okay.
Yeah, but better.
Oh.
He's better than Sam Smith. Much better than Sam Smith. He's able to make things soar. He has the soar, not soar. You know.
Yeah.
I'm sure he can make people soar, but not a bad joke. He's doing that. He's really good at it. Plays piano, and he makes people cry.
Oh, wow.
I wish I could make people cry.
I got
Yeah,
2 questions for him. What out of all the songs that you have made, which one's your favorite? And secondly, which one was the hardest that you had proposed? Make?
Hardest to write. What's my favorite song, and what was the hardest song?
Hardest one, yep.
My favorite song would have to be Half-Life from Clarity, because that's a song that I wrote while I was taking my courses to get into the field that I'm in now, which is radiation protection. I work in nuclear power plants. I go to different power plants, write surveys, and clean stuff up, and make sure all the spicy dirt stays inside the spicy dirt zone.
Okay.
That's my job.
Well, thank you for doing that job.
Yeah. If you want, I actually had an interview about this earlier this year, talking to Azil.
Azil. Ah, yes. I've seen their stuff before.
Yeah.
I'll have to go check it out.
Yeah. He had a video with Battle Cow. This guy who was a electrician at a plant over in Europe. He couldn't disclose the location, and said that he got he got overdosed, once, and that killed his career. And so now he goes on to write music. He's a DJ, which is cool. It's cool and all. But yeah, I would. It's funny, us nuclear types are also, into music, writing music and such. I've met several musicians. But anyway, get back to the fucking point, Bert. Goddammit. Yes. Okay. Wrote a song called Half-Life while I was taking my classes, and it kind of earmarked where I was at and how hopeful I was getting into this field, because one, it's a science field, and I'm kind of a redditor when it comes to when it comes to science things. Fucking love it, and so I'm able to get into that field and do that and be happy with the career choice that I actually have. You know, not many people are able to say that they can, you know, do that. It's like, pretty sure anybody can be happy anywhere. You can be happy stocking shelves if it pays well, if they treat you right, and if the hours are okay, and if you still have free time to have a fucking life. But I digress. Yeah, Half-Life. It musically, it set the stage for the type of energy that I wanted to bring to Terminal, and that is what I'm most proud of, to be able to have, you know, to look back and have like waypoints, you know, to then jump off of, like this but more, this but stoned, you know.
Yeah.
That's kind of a track record that I have going. It's like I have an have It's Been a Pleasure, which was a previous album of mine back in 2018. Have the album It's Been a Pleasure, and I have a song called As I Stand. I want to take that and expand it and make it weird and shit. Well, that was Stasis on Clarity, the next album, right? I have a Cacophony of Sound. Oh, well, that became, you know, In Reverence and Half-Life, right? I have Half-Life that became Arizona. You know, it's kind of stairs. Yeah, like have a specific sound, like have a nugget of a song, have a seedling of a song, and then it grow into the sapling of this song, or the trunk of this song. The stair step, like evolution, watching evolution from one specific idea, and seeing it to its final conclusion. That's what I like.
Okay.
I love it when bands do that. Like they expand on a specific idea. It's really cool. The hardest song that I've ever done, second to, you know, Crossroads, like I just described, Arizona, because I was so afraid of fucking up on managing Alex Groy and Solanus's vocals, that I overthought the entire process through that song. Because it starts out with the basic idea, but like it gets into it, and sometimes I have the bad habit of Control C, Control V drum loops. And so it just keeps looping the same idea with no change in it. That was pretty hard. That was also me really cutting my teeth and really just destroying my voice, trying to hit the notes that I had to hit in order to be in key for that. And so that was also the inspiration of me, like, hey, I might actually need help in this, you know. And me just then getting into the VR music scene, having access to a lot of these people, you know, going up to ask them, like, hey man, do you want to sing on this thing? And they're like, sure, but I'm not really in the mood to write. You know, I'm not really all that experienced with writing. I'm like, you don't have to write it. These are the lyrics. This is the melody. You know, this is the time signature. This is the key. What else you need? Because I have everything set up. It's all session work. You know, instead of deliberately like leaving a space blank for people to be creative in their own way on top of a song. That's something that I'll eventually get over, but I kind of hope I don't. You know, people ask me like, "Hey, you want to collaborate?" I'm like, "Sure. What do you have standing? You know, do you have anything that where I could fit in at the moment?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Well, what the fuck are we supposed to do then? Are we supposed to, bullshit until something happens? What if we're not on the same page? What if I don't have the patience to do that? You know?"
Yeah.
And it's difficult. It really is, because these people, they like what I do. They know what's up, right? And it's just tough trying to tell them, like, have an idea already set up. At the very least, like, have 50%, right? And then maybe I'll be able to carry the rest. But to start from zero is much harder to get in on a collaboration. Because then it's like, am I doing all the work? Are they doing all the work? You know, is it just by name alone? Right? And does it fit the overarching narrative that I have for this project? Not really. More times than none, that's not the case. I could say it's it's a fun little deal and all that stuff, but if you have a project like Terminal that has a narrative from start to finish, then you can't drop out in between songs and sing about your infatuation with a specific VRChat model, and then get right back into Viva la Revolution and chopping off the dicks of people like Larry Fink and Jeff Bezos and feeding them to pigs. You just can't do that. It'd be kind of fucked up. It would throw a wrench in the entire operation. So that's why I'm like very choosy about who I collaborate with and under what scenario.
Okay.
Because I'm actually trying to tell stories. There are many people out there who would love just like a one-off. Here you go. That's good for TikTok. I don't have a TikTok, so I'm not in that vibe. I don't work that way.
Okay.
But Arizona, because I had to specifically ask for help for it, and that was a wall that I had to break down. Because previously it was all 100% me.
I have another question for you based on something you said there. You said you're in it to tell stories. What kind of stories do you normally tell with your music?
Prior to Terminal, it was all instrumental. And a story was primarily inferred through samples, like Clarity, for example. The first 3 songs goes Be Honest, Stasis, and Bury the Needle. Be Honest is this opening piece. It's only like a minute or so. But it paints this forlorn type of humdrum type of stationary type of feel. Go into Stasis. Stasis is exactly how you would imagine a song called Stasis sounding. It's this looping guitar with this Vocaloid, very robotic Vocaloid. I use Gumi, by the way. You can fight me on this. Hatsune Miku is okay, but it doesn't sound as natural or as workable as Megumi Vocaloid is. A lot of really good examples, a lot of really good sounding ones. It doesn't sound like a Vocaloid. If you know how to work it, it does not sound like a Vocaloid. But I didn't know how to work Vocaloid, so it sounded like shit. But it sounded like a robot, and so I kept it. Yeah. The narrative with that is It's like this voice in your head saying negative shit, you know, like oh yeah, here lies the dumbass. Here's this guy who can't pick up after himself, or you know, is like all of his passions are misplaced and shit. Like I talked about with cringe. All of his passions are you know misplaced and such. He's you know bored, you know, pumping full of chemicals and watch him make a fool. Graciously, he'll tie his own noose and swing from handmade gallows. Metal, right? Super depressing shit. And then it picks up into this spiraling outward, right? Until you know, and it repeats those lines. And it spirals out, and then it just drops out suddenly, and you get this breath of fresh air going into bury the needle. Burying the needle has a double meaning. One, to bury the habit, to you know bury the habit. You know, you would use the you know addictions, right? Also, I think of a car. Right. You hit the gas, needle goes right. It's burying the needle. Right? Also, filling up a gas tank. You know, watching the needle go from E to F as you're on a road trip. You're going somewhere. There's a lot of forward motion in that. It's very much you know 180 from stasis, and so that's kind of the feel that I have from that. As clarity goes on, it becomes more and more like proud of one's self, but also up one's own ass a lot, to the point where it becomes, you know, misanthropic, and say, fuck the world, fuck all you guys, I only have myself, and everyone else is retarded and shit. Sorry, everyone else is you know, less than par, right? Just very, very angry at the world. Right? Terminal starts roughly on that same note, but it quickly becomes apparent that you can point your finger at society. You can point your finger at everything else and say that's the problem, right? And then you actually go do something about it. Right, you continue blaming society and shit, but by the end of Terminal, you realize that maybe it wasn't society, maybe it was my own type of purview on that world and what kind of world I was making for myself. Right, so afraid of stagnation, right? But nothing is stagnant. Everything is moving. Everything has forward motion, and wherever gravity has tied you down, making you a slave under its will, keeping you locked under its spell, time will drag you out. In time will drag you out. In time will drag us all out in time. And so that's kind of the message there.
Oh wow.
Long-winded way of like this is my diary.
I can understand.
I think I said that at Virtuality Umbra. I was like, I'm fortunate. Thank you guys for letting me scream my journal entries and have it bounce off of these walls in here. You know, it's great. Kind of that insight into whatever the fuck I've been working with mentally over the last forever.
So,
but it's great, and I'm fortunate.
So music helps you understand, or just let what's in here out?
Because I feel like I don't have a whole lot of license or agency to do so in a normal circumstance. I'm the kind of stoic person that if I'm angry, you don't know it. If I'm sad, you don't know it. If I'm happy, if I'm elated, you won't know it. Because I'm I'm not purposefully stifling myself. It's more so. It goes back to the cringe thing. Really, because like if it's a happy scenario and everyone else is happy, yeah, I can be happy too. But if I'm happy at a funeral, I don't know about that. Unless everyone else is laughing at the funeral, which, okay, cool.
Well, you also have to bear in mind not every situation in which when you're sharing your passions is a funeral. Very rarely in life will you come across that funeral. A lot of the time, people get enthusiastic when you're enthusiastic about something, and people kind of search for that sometimes. When you're enjoying something greatly where you're shouting it to the planet, people will follow you, kind of like your music. Just because you're doing metal at a karaoke night is it appropriate? Probably not. But also the same point, there's gonna be people there who's gonna enjoy it, and they'll follow you. So don't ever, yeah.
And it is
Got
that
another
risk
question
taking.
Yeah, I got a question for you. When you are just sitting at home, just doing your thing, have you ever had something just all of a sudden, you're just fucking around and all of a sudden, because I've had friends that I know that play pretty well, and all of a sudden you just look over and all of a sudden they're not jamming to any special song, something like that, and you go, whoa, dude, what are you doing? And they look at you, what do you mean, what am I doing? I go, Jesus Christ. Why aren't you writing this down? Oh, this is just fucking around. Have you ever had a situation like that? Where you all of a sudden, what the fuck did I just do? So, a complete different sound that you going, whoa, where'd the fuck this come from? That kind of deal.
I would have 10 albums worth of material by now if I recorded everything. Every single instance of that. Because I would just be sitting fucking around. I'm at my computer. Right? I can hit record at any given moment, but I just don't because there's this unspoken thing. Right? It's called red light paranoia, or red light fever, or something like that. So I'm botching it, but it's red light phobia. I don't know. You can have the idea, right? You can have it. You've practiced that riff. You have sung that song multiple times over. Dry, right? Completely, you know it 100%, right? As soon as that red button gets hit, it goes out the fucking window. And it's something that a lot of musicians have to face. Even some like professional people that I know, that they'd be jamming out and have it be completely cool. As soon as they hit record, it brain fart. Because it's that I gotta get it right. It's there, and if I don't get it right, then everyone's gonna laugh at me, and I'm gonna stop that. That's what happens.
I got that.
And yeah,
I got you.
it sucks. But yes, I wish that I wish I grew up having the hard drive space for that. Because I've only recently gotten to a job where I'm able to afford all the things that I do. It really comes back, all of it comes back to that. It's just having the ability. Well, I mean, goddamn, like little thumb drives are getting up to what 128 gigabytes.
Pretty
That's
close.
enough to
Sometimes more.
save every. Yeah, even more than that. I thought 32 gigs was fucking nuts. I have a 3 terabyte hard drive.
Got ones bigger than that now.
Yeah.
Fuckers are monsters. And smaller.
It's fucking nuts. Musicians nowadays have all the tools for success. Well, you just gotta learn how a compressor works. Learn how to not cock up an EQ. Don't use a limiter on everything. And you're good. Hell, with the advent of fucking AI, you can write a song, there you go. Pisses me off.
Why does that piss you off?
You had to open
Not
up that can of
because-
worms, didn't you, you fuck?
Yes, I do.
You're gonna open
Yeah,
up
let's
that can of worms. He's gonna open up
Yeah, I
that
got my
fucking
2
can
cents.
of fucking worms.
Feel
Yeah,
free
you
to tell
put
me
it
to
in
piss
there,
off.
It's no problem.
Mm-hmm.
I just
As a
enjoy
musician.
hearing thoughts. That's all.
Yeah. As a musician, and as somebody who is fascinated with the sciences, somebody who is in science fields and such in STEM, I'm kind of both, right? I kind of advocated for the STEAM edition because you have STEM, right? Right, science, science, technology, electronics, mathematics, and also medical in STEM, right? Yeah. Science, technology, electronics, or education. Tech and electronic. Look, man. I'm a little burnt out.
I'm not expecting
I
you to know everything, man. I don't. Yeah, I appreciate the straightforwardness, but don't feel like you have to come up with an answer.
That's whatever. No, I know what's up. I know what's up. It's STEM is an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and math. Right, I was advocating for the A edition for the arts because if we're talking about what develops culture, is it would be considered all those.
Yeah.
It would be science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. It makes sense to broaden that field, but also I can see the level of discipline versus those things, and how much dedication, how much you get a PhD in oil painting. However, I understand that its effectiveness in that, because what also is in that is architecture, culinary arts, things that shape the world around us. That arts is also something that's in that. For it to be an official acronym, again, it's not on the same level of discipline, but I understand that its effectiveness. So I'm kind of in both camps. I'm in sciences. I'm in nuclear sciences, and I'm also a musician. And so when it comes to the use of AI, right, I feel like we are doing AI a disservice by having it look at deviant art pictures to make a model of DeviantArt core ass pictures, right? And then be able to, have it copy that. AI generation takes a lot of energy. I just so happen to be in the field that makes a lot of energy, and so I kind of have a place in this argument. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think so? Yeah. And so I feel like it's a waste of the technology, a waste of the use of the technology. Have it model things for the cure for cancer, cure for AIDS, right? Have it solve the the 3-body problem, the third body problem. Actual problems, actual practical solutions. We've had AI for what, 5 years, 6 years now?
About, yeah.
Actual building. We've had GAN for a while, long enough. We're using it to make fever dream fever dream brain rot videos on TikTok instead of having it used. We are using it to put artists out of jobs and threaten the stability of Hollywood, which it was already unstable to begin with. You know, how long would that model actually really exist? But that was the whole SAG-AFTRA strike, right? Because because writers, screenwriters, were threatened by the use of AI in script writing, taking them out of the job. And so you have SAG-AFTRA, which is kind of a union. It's kind of union. I don't know the specifics, but they had the right to strike, and so I presume they are a union. So there you go. I believe that's still going on. Why are they threatened? Because people are training AI to write scripts and do art and write music when it should be used for more purposeful things, more needful things. There will never be at least I say that there's not much of a use for AI to make music. Okay. One example. That off the top of my head, this dude named Boy What. He was did the Plankton Metal.
Yeah.
The Plankton Metal song. Neon Tide. That was a big song. This previous one. Plan Z. That was a big hit. That was really cool. However, Boy What is actually a producer. He actually wrote the music. He actually sang the song. He just ran. The only thing that's AI in that is just running his voice through a Plankton AI voice model. That's it. And everyone's like, "Oh, this whole the whole thing is like, yeah, well, yeah. I understand the usefulness in specific cases as a tool, as a means of creation. No, what the same argument was made with going from traditional art to digital art. Like digital art isn't as real, right? It's real, it's fake. It's not real, it's fake. It's over relying on things making it easy, like Photoshop and such. Just image editors and all that, when in reality it's arguably harder because you can't manipulate digital brushes the way that you can move normal brushes. And to be quite honest, like nothing can beat traditional painting.
No.
You know, digital art tries. But what digital art is good at doing is digital art. You can see pixels if you have a low enough resolution. You can see the difference between a digital painting and a traditional painting. And so there will never be a replacement for that. And so I guess this is kind of an argument for AI, because AI can't get it right. Can't get a song to sound like a human, right? Because it'll have its jags, you know, in places that you see AI images now. They do get to a point where it's a little uncanny, whether it's an actual photo of a woman, you know, eating a salad, or it was just AI generated. However, there are telltale signs. And so when I'm thinking the same way, it's going to go from traditional to how we went from traditional art to digital art, same way with AI. AI will have a purpose of making AI art rather than it mimicking real art. Or real art, digital art. Because there are means in which there are things that digital is really good at, is just digital stuff. Right, and it has a specific look. All of the colors are solid. All of the, it's very cartoonish.
Yeah.
Right. You can't really make flat, solid colors on traditional. You'll have pops and divots and valleys, and the way that the light hits a specific, like normal mapping, like kind of like that. It won't be smooth. You can do that. It's hard. But then again, that's traditional trying to mimic digital. And sometimes that path doesn't very cross very well. Digital is really good for cartoony stuff. AI, as it stands right now, is really good for making living nightmares. I see like 3 AI videos back to back, and I'm like, this is exactly what a dream looks like. How was it able to do this? And I hope it becomes better. Right? I hope this whole, I hope this whole scenario comes out to the result of, yeah, you had your fun with art. Okay, now go cure cancer. Or make an AI brain to solve world hunger. Goddamn. Figure it out.
So, I'll ask you another question back on track of your music and stuff. Have you ever played in real life, or is VR the medium of your choice?
I haven't been fortunate enough to be able to play live. And I've only recently warmed up to the idea of playing live, because the consequence of writing all your music by yourself is that it's just going to be you on stage with a backing track. And there's this kind of stigma in real life that's verboten. If you have, if it's just you and no one else, then it could be seen as like pretentious or one-man band. It's lonely. It's sad. It's a sad display. This guy doesn't have a band, right? Now, whether that's actual real world or my own paranoia talking to me, either way, it exists, sadly enough. But no, I'm actually looking forward to potentially playing live, because it was a good thing that I mentioned Virality. It was a good thing that I mentioned FWA, because at FWA there's this guy. His name is Rhythm Bastard. Yeah. He's a furry dude. Plays punk rock. Beefy. Fucking. This guy's fucking jacked. Right? You see people walking around with like beefy avatars in here, and you think that they're they're like that in real life. This guy's actually that. Ripped. Jacked. He was wearing cut off shirts. I think he was like shirtless for a portion of his performance. He performed there. He was in the lineup. He was immediately after CK9C. CK9C had a significant amount of crowd, right? He had a ring around the stage. But whenever everyone left, very few people stayed for Rhythm Bastard, because not a lot of people know who this guy is. He's kind of one of those guys who he uploads to Bandcamp and then leaves it. Yeah, it's whatever. Yeah, I think he works in medical, so he's good. He's not hungry. But I stayed a bit to watch what this guy was about, because he and I had a conversation earlier, and I was like, I felt bad if I were to just leave him. He had about 15 to 20 people in his audience, and he had a big space, and he had a big space. He was on main stage. He had a big space to fill, and he was only able to get like 15, 20 people. However, every single one of those motherfuckers that was in that audience, mosh pit.
Really?
They were moshing. They were moving. They were grooving. They were feeling the music. They were picking up what he was putting down, and it was just him, guitar, backing tracks. So it's good. It's good thing that I went to FWA, because I was about to say no, fuck you guys. I'm not going to do anything. But it was good to go there and actually see an example of what can be done. I'm like, if that's acceptable, and even Jack by himself, it was just him doing vocal to his backing tracks. I'm like, is it acceptable now to just be a one-man band and just be a savant on all those instruments? Is that okay now? And I guess it's okay. Within VR, it's a bit permissible, because it's hard to have, an entire, ensemble with you. It exists. There are bands that are like that. There are people who can do that. They're Japanese.
Yeah, they use a program
And
called
it's
Synchroom,
nuts.
I think.
They're playing live. Yeah. Fucking nuts. It's limitations, because the way you can do that, and it's relatively easy. You can use this device called a Sonobus, where it's a low latency direct peer-to-peer connection, where there's practically no it smooths out the signal so that there is damn near zero latency. Which there still will be, but hey, what can you do? You can have that, and that'll carry the majority of it. However, there's this other thing that you could do. Is, say you have a 4-piece band. Thighs and wings, right? You have the drummer, and he's listening to a click track, right? Click track and a reference track for the backups. He is by himself. He's transmitting his audio to the bassist. The bassist is in his pocket, and he's transmitting his combined drummer and bass audio to the guitarist. The guitarist is picking that up, and he's doing his thing, listening to all three of them, all two of them, which will be in sync by the time it hits him. The guitarist is then sending his signal to the singer, and the singer is doing his thing, and the singer is pushing his audio out to the stream. And so the result of that is you hear what the singer is hearing, what the lead singer is hearing, and that is what's pushed out, and that's all in sync. The bad part about that is whatever the drummer, whatever the singer says, the drummer will hear much later, or maybe not even at all, or just through some shitty, Discord call. But primarily, that's what the chain needs to look like. And it's been done before. It was done at Virality. Prior to me going on stage, it was TFM Johnny and Lydian Melody, and they displayed something like that. We have First Class Coffin. Those Vinny's deal. They're doing that, and they sound. I heard their rehearsal; they were in sync, near perfect. That's entirely possible. It's possible, but it's far more popular to just have one dude. in VR. And so extending that out into the real world would be something else. I just don't have anybody, booking me at the moment. There might be some things coming up in the future in Atlanta, and I'll be down for that. But up until then, I don't know. I need a haircut before then.
Okay. Well, still though, what you and a bunch of other musicians of you are doing, I think is impressive to me. It's well beyond my capabilities, but it's really awesome to listen to as well. So I give you much kudos for even doing what you do here. Hello, we're here to interrupt the most interesting thing being said in our current video to ask you a favor, which is, would you mind joining us at any of the socials we have, such as Discord? We're hanging out all the time playing video games, so you can catch us there very frequently. We have I run Twitter for us, which is LionTurtle21 on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. It'll always be Twitter. But either way, there's that. We also have a Patreon, which we actually have a whole other show for our Patreon members, which are Aliquum and the newest addition to the bunch, Future Oracle,
Niche, and Forbidden Zero. Good friends of ours.
Yeah, thank you very much, you guys, for joining. It means a whole lot that you're there. And hope to see you there as well. We have a whole other show. There are some free ones we have released as well for the audio for you to listen to and to see what it's like. It's like a whole other show as a thank you. With that said, please enjoy the rest of your podcast on YouTube.
Yeah. And this is just the start. This is just like halfway through year 2. This is year 1. Last year was very rocky, but you saw, this year you see CMFS putting on more shows, putting on more consistent shows, and the quality of the shows and the performers rise. You have more performers being given a chance on a stage for, as like an expo, as like a display of what they can do. And you have more venues themselves popping up, right? Because for the last 5 years, the scene has been dominated by DJs. And sure, can't really get into that because that's the type of environment that attracts a specific type of person. It's typically the party people. It's typically the people who want to drink themselves silly. Stoner culture, drug culture, and such like that. It's kind of harmful. From an outsider's perspective, it's just a bunch of people listening to beep loops and a dude pushing buttons, or getting fucked up and losing brain cells. If that's your party, if that's your bag, then that's your bag, man. But I believe it's a breath of fresh air to actually have performers, on stage doing their thing. And not knocking DJs. What they do is incredible and far more complex than what I'll ever do. But few conversations few honest conversations that I've had with DJs, and they're like, dude, I literally just push buttons. You're up there putting up, Wembley Stadium levels of production. I'm just behind a board, push that button, sync, tempo, slide. But to have the knowledge of what track goes with what track and what BPM and the flow of all that takes a little bit of practice, takes a little bit of know-how. So I'm not completely discrediting DJs, but it's kind of oversaturated. It's kind of easy to be a DJ on VRChat. It's not easy to be a performer because of the limitations, because of the hardware limitations, the software limitations. How do you properly how do you put yourself out there? How do you convey a real performance? As if you're right there, or at the very least, you're a Guitar Hero. not Guitar Hero in the playing, but the Guitar Hero, the background visual. Yeah. Have you ever been in the same room with somebody who's playing Guitar Hero? They're focusing on the bars, and you're looking. I've always been like second player, to my sisters and brothers. Just watching the visuals, right, and how semi-accurate, everything is. The models and their dudes and the way they're playing and the notes that they're hitting is kind of right, kind of okay. All that stuff. So yeah. To get back to it, it's good that we have performers now. It's good that we have these venues that feel like festivals, because that's, and shit, with Ticketmaster and Live Nation becoming far more volatile with their pricings, people are going to seek out alternatives. Another reason to answer to further tack on to a question that you had earlier, it was what got me into performing in VR. One of those things was watching how the music scene reacted to COVID lockdowns. Sorry. How the music scene, you can cut that last part, that'll cost you. How the music scene, and you get what I'm saying, right?
It'll cost me. I know what you mean.
If you
during the
if you put a
pandemic, how
mention
people
of COVID
responded.
in your video.
Honestly,
Yeah,
we've talked about COVID a lot.
If you
It's
mention
not
the
going to
word
bother us
COVID,
too much.
it'll-
It doesn't bother us too much.
Okay.
We've talked with, like, for example, we've had like extensive conversation with club owners and DJs about how the DJ scene changed during COVID. And honestly, if YouTube doesn't like it, YouTube doesn't like it. I still think it's a valid conversation that's pertinent to VR chat and VR as a whole. So they can like it or hate it. It's on them, not me.
Oh, okay.
You looking forward to? She's
Yeah.
right behind you, you
Yeah.
fool.
So pretty much what I was watching how the music scene responded during COVID lockdowns.
Yeah.
One of my favorite musicians, Devin Townsend, he was one to do this thing called Stage It. And when he had his lockdown, and he put on like 3 concerts, and it was just him in his studio. He was in his pajamas. He was working the camera system by itself, and it was goofy, right? It was very much like, this is not serious. This is not a concert. However, what else are you gonna do during this, right? And you had to keep the lights on somehow. So one of the things that that was very inspiring. So I'm like, what is the logically next step that someone can do with that? And so that's when I was like, oh, well, I'm already in VR. I can just make something out of that. But at the time, there wasn't a space for it until I met Corbelle. And so I'm like, okay, well, this place does have something going on for it. And so there was pretty lucrative power vacuum. And on top of that, not many people in here are doing rock and metal. And funny enough, as soon as I get off of these stages, all the metal heads, start coming out the woodwork. I'm like, oh man, I'm so inspired by my, Tools, my favorite band. I'm like, awesome. Where have you been? And so stuff like that. It's pretty cool, pretty neat.
Well,
Good.
sometimes with people, all it takes is one other person to do the thing that others were afraid to, and people come out. Like, as you said, the metalheads.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that feel the same way as you at karaoke nights where, like, I can't play it because no one's going to like it, but then one person does, and then everyone else starts doing it. Then it becomes more common.
exactly.
Hmm.
You know, it's you know, someone's got to
Somebody's gotta
gotta
open the
pull the
door.
trigger on the firing pistol. Yeah,
Somebody's got to
someone's gonna
open the door and crack that egg, is what you're trying to say. And I see that. You see a lot of new performers, and they just, I don't. You hear it in the background. You, yeah, you hear so much of it when you go to different things. You go, yeah, I could do that, but I'm afraid. And you go, how are you afraid if you don't try it? It's the way it goes. It's like when you pick
Precisely.
when you picked up your first time picking up a guitar. You said it yourself that everybody in your family just let the guitar sit and collect dust or got rid of it. You kept pushing it because you found your knack in it. They didn't. You did. And those people are here too, but they're afraid that somebody's going to down them. It's like anything you do. Everybody has that fear that, well, if I do this, somebody's going to not going to like it and everything. Then all of a sudden, it only takes one. I tell this to everyone. It only takes one person. Out of that one person, that's 50% of something is better than 50% of nothing. To tap you on the shoulder and go, thank you, I like what you did. And that's all it takes to drive you. That's all it is. That's all you need. And that one person sticking out. We got one fan every time. And I'll tell you, it's Steven. You see this, Steven, that's you, buddy. He watches every one of our videos and comes up and tells us what blah, 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 blah. And he sticks with, he's watched it from day one, and we never twist his arm. He just likes what we do. And we think, well, hell, that's great. Wow, that's one person, wow. We like you, when you get those people that stand in front of you, and you know it just being on stage. You can see the people that are listening, vibing to it.
Yeah.
And everything else like that. You get a feel
pretty
for it.
constant, pretty repeat characters, in the mosh pit. Which I typically always have a mosh pit. Like there's some banger songs in there that people go crazy for. That's always exhilarating. But yes, I agree. Yeah. Recently, I went to my Spotify artist page and saw that I have 100 monthly listeners. So, hell yeah.
Congrats,
Yeah.
man.
No shit.
That's amazing.
Congrats, man.
Certainly not much, but I bet you I can tell you all the names of all 100 of those people. Because it is tight like that. Especially with this recent release, it's already surpassed previous albums with in terms of streams.
Oh wow.
Some people have bought this bought it on Bandcamp. Bandcamp actually cut me a check for once. The 8 years that I've had the Bandcamp, they finally cut me a check after all this time. So very fortunate about that. I have pre-orders for physical copies of the album. Things are still in the works. The whole package isn't completed yet, but I have stickers, custom stickers, and custom guitar picks. And the CDs are going to be in a jewel case. And it's going to have this fold-out poster of like 8 segments, whole like mind blowing. I love paintings that are like this world that we're in. Where it's like you can take the whole thing in, and you'll have like key features standing out. But I love fractal paintings, right? That you can zoom in on any of these panels and see deep into them. And that's kind of what this poster is going to be like. I designed it in a way to where you can fold the poster up and then put it back in the case to the panel that you like.
Oh, This is gonna make me sound old, but it sounds like the same thing you used to do on the back of a Mad magazine when you fold from A to B and you get a complete different scene. I know what you're talking about. Yes, I do.
Hell yeah. Tool roughly did the same thing, but that was with what the fuck you call those things? It's pane, or it's a picture, but it has like these has like this grill on it, and then you turn it and it moves the images below it, and it moves as you tilt it.
Mm-hmm.
What are those things called?
Not a scaloscope. We made with those in school where you could take a picture of two different things, slice it so wide, glue it on, and stand it upright. When you turn one way and then you turn another way, it changed the scene. I don't remember what they were called. There's this name for it. It's almost like optic illusion. Almost like an optic illusion to you. To your brain, it is. I don't know what to call them.
Like, it's a similar thing if you were to get those playing cards where if you tilt it one way, you see one player, tilt it the other, you see the other player, but they're both on the same thing.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called, though.
They call it optics. I'm not for sure.
I'm looking at it.
Because it gives you an optical illusion is why they call it optics. But I could be wrong. I'm an old man. Don't answer that.
I wasn't going to say anything,
It's
Mr. Rapper.
Not yet. There's always a first time for everything. Don't want to leave you out, but
Fair. I did mention something about you earlier, so there's that.
oh god, here we go. I forgot what it was. Who cares? We're here to have fun.
Cool.
I believe the word you are looking for is lenticular.
Lenticular.
An
Never heard that
adjective
word.
Describing a formation with a lens-shaped cross-section. Lens-shaped nucleus in the brain. Lensing. Yeah, lenticular lens, a technology for making moving or 3D images. Yeah. It's sheet, right? You move it because it has this grill that only lets a specific amount of light in at a specific angle that shows you a specific picture on the back end. But yes, that's called lenticular lenses. That's what Tool did for that, and they had multiple sheets within that, but I don't have the technology for that. If I did, I would do a zoetrope. You know what that is?
No, what is a zoetrope?
A zoetrope is a back in the day. This is how you had moving pictures back in the day. 1800s, 1700s, 1800s. You have a light or a candle. You have a candle, right? And then you have a cylinder.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then you have
when it
cutouts
moved,
in those cylinders. Yeah, you'd
I know what
spin
you're
it,
talking
right?
about.
You spin it at a specific frame or at a specific speed, to where then you see an image on the inside of the cylinder. As the cylinder rotates, you see cross sections of the image, and so it looks like it's moving if you spin it at the right speed.
Oh.
Like frames of animation. There are updated versions of that where it's a zoetrope wheel. The best example that I have of this is actually really cool, really fucking cool. Cash In, Cash Out by Pharrell Williams, 21 Savage, and Tyler the Creator. That music video is really cool to look at because it's almost like a diorama, right? You don't have the static light source with those, though. You have a strobe light. And the strobe light is flashing And going from on to off, in a specific amount of frames, even. The zoetrope spins at a speed to where you have a thing, right? And then you have a thing spinning to replace that thing within the light, on, off, on. To where if you locked your eyes on a specific, at a specific point, it looks like it's moving.
Ooh.
Because of the absence of light. And it's awesome. That music video is incredible. I wanted to do that with vinyl records because vinyl records spin. Right? There have been a few examples of that. Gorillaz did that. I believe, I think the Beatles did that because the Beatles did everything before it was cool. Or that's why everything is the way that it is, because of the Beatles. But I wanted to do something roughly the same way. But I didn't have anything in place for that. But it still would be cool. Most recent example, Bring Me the Horizon did that for one of their albums. The catch of that, if you look up examples of this, it looks great on social media. However, it doesn't look the way that it does or way that it should when you actually play it.
Oh.
Because they... Okay, so like the examples, I time, you time the movement of the zoetrope with the flashing of the light, right?
Yep.
With an album, you don't have the flashing light. You just have the spinning of it, right? They timed it off the frames of a standard iPhone.
Interesting.
So that when you film it on your phone, it looks great, but, in real life, with your eyes, it just looks blurry. Because it's not timed properly. But they timed it specifically for phones so that it would look impressive on social media. I feel like that's pretty cheap. Smart marketing, smart advertising. But what about the appearance of it to the eye, right? There are things. Look at a fan blade. You get a fan blade or a car tire wheel, rotating thingy on the wheels of the car. When they're spinning, they get in a specific interval where the wheel just looks like it's... They're at a specific frequency where the wheel just looks like it's staying put. What is that frame? How fast does that thing have to be going in order for that to be stationary? Take that information and apply that to a zoetrope on a record, and then it looks cool. It looks okay on that. And then, if it still looks like shit on an iPhone camera, recording at what, 60 frames?
I think so.
Yeah, if you have it like that, specifically like that, then have a section that is tuned to eyes, and then have a section of it. You have a lot of real estate on the fucking thing if you use it correctly. Tune one to the eyes and tune one to the phone, to where it doesn't look like shit either way. This is our relationship with technology. This is the difference between standard 60 and then whatever frame focusing our eyes do. Have that be an example of what's of the differences between those two things. And so that someone will like, okay, well, yeah, obviously the phone's 60 and then my eyes are like this, and so my eyes would be like this. Say that it's a part of our limited sight distance. So yeah, That's my idea.
I like the idea.
If there's anything that comes out recently, or within the next, like, I don't know, year or so, and that same exact idea, you know where you got it. Don't fucking lie. Call me. You owe me.
I guess that means you have to work harder to get to be the first one to do it.
Shit, just throw him under the bus. Throw him under the fucking bus.
I already work hard
Ouch.
enough. I work too hard.
Sorry to put that kind of
But no.
workload on you.
But no, it'll come out eventually. I'll get to it. Find somebody who can print vinyls first, and then figure that out.
Well, even if someone else has the idea, I highly doubt most people in VRChat will have the tech and the know-how to make that happen anyway. So I think you have some leeway.
Yeah. Plus, kind of like having a background in animation, well, porn animation, but still fundamentals in animation by itself. So.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you another question as well, related to your performance. What drives you to do as much into your art, and what was your first audience or fan interaction you've had here in VR?
The want to be better, really, because it's why I put so much effort into it, because I don't want to half-ass anything. Like, there are people who are really good at guitar, right? They're so good at guitar, it looks like they didn't spend any time trying to figure out how to do that while do that guitar while having controllers on you. Because to be quite frank, I've gotten it to a point to where it's super easy. Just throw this dude on the wrist like this. Hands free. Take this dude. Pop this out like that. There. Hands are there. Make it look impressive. Make it look like I know what I'm doing, which it kind of is. You know, half of it's muscle memory anyway. You know. But it's constant refinement. I don't like the idea of a cheaped out experience. Some people are pre-recorded due to like performance limitations. Like some people who are overseas, right? We've had that happen a couple times. Some people are in Europe, right? They're on Europe time, but their show is in American time, or Eastern Standard, or whatever. Which means it's like midday for them, and everyone's awake, moving around. They can't be loud, you know. Their living situation, their housing situation, their job, you know, works and such, life things. Or some people who say Australians, they don't have the best, you know, connection. They may drop out in the middle of a performance, and that'd be a showstopper. And so they would have to pre-record their shows in order to do that. But it's a hotly contested point of contention. You know, that's a fucking sentence right there. It's a point of contention whether pre-recorded sets are it or not, whether that is the cheapening of the experience. Some people will say, like, yeah, it is, because they aren't actually performing. It's not really live. If I wanted to see somebody pantomime their own shit, then that's not really, you know, that's not live. I don't feel connected, you know, to the artist, and I completely understand that. I've been in several places where it's like they're just dudes, and they're not giving me their emotion right now. They're giving me their emotion 2 days ago. Right? Other people will say, if I didn't pre-record it, then I would have to stand in one place. I wouldn't be moving around a whole lot, and I would just be, stagnant statue, right? And I want to, run around the stage and go fanfare and wank off doing air guitar. It's still the same experience. They still rock out anyway. We're all sharing the same moment at the same time, and so it's practically no difference. I'm like, okay, ¿por qué no es dos? Right?
Yep.
You could do a performance. You can put more body into it. You can make it more entertaining. And you can be emotionally present at that moment while you're performing it. It sucks with the tech limitation. And that's really the only gimme that I can give it. That's really the only gimme that I can give it. Is that would suck, and I understand that. However, there are times, there's a time and a place for that. Maybe not say virality in front of 2,500 people, to have an Ashley Simpson moment like an SNL. Yeah, have one of those in front of that many people. We accept the jank. We know there's jank. Right? I have a glitch on my avatar. Right? My avatar does the whole hand locking thing. Right? I can do this. Right? Ooh. Maybe not that. I can lock my fingers up into a specific place. Yeah. I can do this. Hands on the controllers and hands on the guitar and all that. Have the microphone out. I have a microphone stand. I won't pull out the microphone stand, but I will pull out the instance.
Oh.
Yeah. Ooh. Whatever. What the fuck ever. I can do this, and it would look great on me, but there's it's desync for like late joiners or people showing my avatar too late, and I have photos of my hand just being straight out like that, and this hand going through the neck of the guitar like this.
Yeah.
And it just looks bad, and I don't like those photos, but sometimes they're the best photos that I have, because those are the only photos that any of the photographers, I guess forgot to show my avatar before I went on stage or something like that. So things would be out of place, and that's acceptable levels of jank. Right? Unacceptable levels of jank. Now, what would be acceptable levels of jank? Maybe not in front of 2,500 people at a concert that they paid for. Because people pay to get into virality. And sure, there's a lot of other things going on, but if you're at a paid event, you would want to treat it like a paid event. You would want to try and do it live. Kinda, maybe. I have a lot of problems with, I guess, not really the current state of affairs, but the genuineness I feel is a little bit lacking in some of the places, in some of these performers. Like, real recognizes real.
Yeah.
I feel like I recognize a lot of really real dudes, right? But yeah, essentially.
And the second part of that question would be, what was some of your first audience or fan interactions since you've been playing in VR?
My buddies, my dudes, my friends that I've known for on VR for the last like 4 or 5 years now, going on 5. They've kind of been with me all throughout the process. They're really cool. At the first but at Furry Hideout Countdown event last New Year's, it was they had a little mosh pit going, and there were like 2 or 3 people in the back of the world. They were also jamming out, but that was about it. So it was kind of small numbers, but you know, some of those people who were jamming out are now my fast friends. So in terms of like fan interaction, I really haven't had a negative fan interaction in general.
That's good.
I feel like a lot of the people who come up after me, come up to me after a show, they're really just like level-headed and really say, yeah, man, I dig your shit. You know, it's really cool. It's really cool that you're able to do that in VR. You know, and they like the voice. They hear the voice. They're like, dude, that's solid screamo voice. And I'm like, thanks. It's not screamo, but I don't like that moniker. It feels like pansy-ish. Or it's like a 40-year-old soccer mom with a bob cut that calls any kind of aggressive vocal screamo.
Whenever I hear the word screamo, I think of like the early 2000s, fuck my life, I'm depressed kind of music.
Yeah. And well, I'm kind of doing that. I do that.
Sorry.
Fuck.
Okay, what would you classify your music as a genre then?
Progressive metal.
Okay.
Progressive rock, progressive metal.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
it's odd time signatures, polyrhythms. It doesn't follow the standard model. Again, out of boredom. And overall, it's just one of those type of things. Just like it's great because yeah.
Okay. Well, last.
It's strange the amount of people who do come up are like really like I don't want to say like die hard, but I have had people unsolicitedly draw fan art when I've only been active for 9 months.
Wow.
And so that's I'm not scoffing at that. I'm not pshawing that. I'm not poo-pooing that. That's actually pretty significant. I'm really glad to say that things are working out in terms of giving my music a chance to be able to to start sprouting wings and flying.
Well, no matter how hard you are on yourself,
Really fortunate with that.
at least use it as fuel to keep going.
Of course. There are a few songs that that are kind of roughly like started like that. Started aggressive, like, fuck you, you don't know me. But then I turn it into something that's a little bit less teenager like. Eventually.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Last couple questions for you before we start wrapping things up. First is, where'd your
Yeah.
name come from and why do you use it?
My name's came from it was 2000 and I've had this name since 2012. I've always imagined it to be a character. It's and it's changed over the years because initially it was supposed to be like this weird thing of like, okay, so like the mating rituals of birds, right? They or like the standard, right? The male birds are usually the more flamboyant. They have the brightest colors. They do the dances. They build the bowers, and the female birds are typically drab, gray, browns, and blacks. Types of colors, and they're the ones that choose the one with the fancier dance or the good or the best song or the strongest bower or all that. And Birdsatan is the entity that's pushing mankind in that direction. But now I'm thinking back, I'm like that's the most fucking incel thing I could probably think of, and so I backed off of that. It's now like Birdsatan is the entity that's pushing ravens and crows and jackdaws and corvids, to be the next intelligent species of Earth. Like Satan gave Eve the apple from the tree of knowledge, and that's why we are here now, ashamed of our naked bodies. But we can, make rocks boil water to make, thinky stone do math. I think that was a good trade-off. And so Birdsatan is now the entity that's pushing, corvids to be the next intelligent species on Earth.
Okay. And that's pretty awesome. And the avatar you use,
Yeah.
why do you choose to use it? And is there anything about it that means anything to you or stands out?
I wanted an avatar that exemplifies the name. I was looking at all the bird models, which there are not a lot of. I chose this one because it has talon hands instead of feather hands. And so that's how I was like, okay, yeah, I'll lean more towards this one. Because I'm actually able to play guitar with this as opposed to, the illogical, like feather fingers playing guitar. I got my buddy Sal. He does that, and I'm like, the guitar playing is amazing. However, that makes no goddamn sense. So that's why I went with this. It's called the Featherland, by the way. Not many people are in this. Not many people have this. It's by Corny 3D. It's good. It's worth it. However, not a lot of people have it, and so there's not a lot of outfits for it. It needs some third-party shit. So get on it. I'm tired of making my own clothes. I made these clothes, like the original Featherland. Well, let me show you. Okay, lock this dude in your head.
Yep.
Okay, you got it?
Yep.
And this tractor's dead, I'm gonna fuck it up. This is the original Featherland. This is the default. I've done a lot of editing to it.
I can see.
It's so widely different. But yeah, it has it you know what it does have? Boba.
Boba. I think one of our
Yeah.
friends has the Featherland. Tooth? I think a friend Tooth may have this model.
No, that's Jen. Jen plays
Oh.
the Featherland.
Ah, yeah.
Jen, not Tooth.
Oh,
Well, yeah.
it kind of has like a Kenku look to it from D&D.
Exactly. That yeah. Love the Kenku. If I ever do D&D, I'm gonna be a Kenku.
The crow race is pretty fun, especially how they speak. I believe they mimic. They don't really. Well, I guess it depends on the DM. I could be very wrong. Please scold me in the comments. Well, with that said, Birdsatan, thank you so much for allowing us to get to know you and hear your tale for the last 3 hours. It's been an
Yeah,
absolute
no
pleasure
doubt.
hearing all about you. So
It's
thank
been
you
3
very much.
hours.
It's been 3 hours.
Yes.
I did it
it's been
again.
Hours.
Well, and now
Yeah.
actually 2 hours and
Hours.
20 minutes. Exactly, actually. So
Okay,
it's
that's
not
better.
too bad.
Better than the last interview I had.
Well, honestly, I
That's
very
fucking
much
dope.
enjoyed it. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, I
It's been an
just enjoyed
absolute
Too.
honor. Where can
Yeah,
good
it's
question.
an honor to.
where can the audience find you if they wish to
What?
reach out and find you?
I'm on Twitter. In fact, I have a pen on this avatar. You got B.
This will be the first.
D. S backwards. 8. And then the. Fuck, yeah. At BRDS number 8N on Twitter.
Okay.
Also, that's backwards. That's fucked up. Don't think about that. My link tree is limited sight distance music. I have a Discord group. No, I don't have a Discord. I don't have a Discord yet. Actually, that's a secret. You don't need to know about that. I have a group in VRC. Just type LSD dot 9965 LSD dot 9965, and that's the limited sight distance clergy. I post in there. I have 59 people in that group.
Oh wow!
Hell yeah!
Congratulations, man.
I post upcoming shows and other kind of news on there. I'm gonna start movie night with those guys sometime soon, so we'll keep a lookout for that. What else? I have some collaborations. I see. I talked about collaborations, previously, and how I fucking hate them because I have several collaborations coming up in the future with a few prominent people. I'm not sure how much I can say, but yeah, I got that going on. Still got the pre-orders. You get for $25, you get a limited run of Terminal, the album, CD, in a jewel case, with the art, a sticker, and a custom guitar pick. It's .60 Delrin. And I've played them. They're sturdy, and that's cheap as shit for what you get. And the poster.
I remember you mentioning that
And
too.
a signed poster at that.
Ooh.
Yeah. A signed poster. Yeah, and it's all custom. It's all really nice. $25 is pretty damn cheap for all that.
Yeah.
I'm losing money. No.
Well, much appreciated.
Only have 50 of them, so get them before they disappear forever.
Okay. Well, with
Yeah.
that said, thank you very much. And all those links and more to find his music will be in the description. Down the thingamabobble down that way that says description. If you click it, all the links you'll be able to find Birdsatan and his music will be over there, as well as some other fun links. There is a lot of them. And before we pass it to Raptor to close it off, we'll give you, the audience, a question as well. What is the music that means something to you? Could be anything. Let us know why and what it is down below. We'd love to hear about it and read it. And Raptor, as always, you know the thing.
You got it. No matter what you do, folks, if it's whatever you're into and everything else like this, it might be some jazz and it might be some of this, but there's nothing that beats the fuck out of hard rock. You play it the way you see it. Have a good one, folks. We'll talk to it, and I'm going to pound him with rocks. We'll talk to you later.
And doot doot
Bye.
loot doot.
Doot doot.
That's gonna kick his ass. You fucked that up so bad.
Bye now.
Not more.